Learn how to create a TikTok video and what you need when it comes to TikTok tech as it relates to podcasting. Joining me for part 2 of 4 of this series is Melissa Hughes. She is a TikTok influencer, international speaker, and best-selling author. She has been booked twice on The Kelly Clarkson Show and featured in the New York Times bestseller Primal Scream on NBC. She has over 238,000 TikTok followers with over 9 million likes. She's also the best-selling author of a book called She Can Laugh, along with a children's book called Mommy Loves You When. She's also done missionary work in the UK for several years with her husband and her 2 children. In this episode, we're going to be diving into the ins and outs of creating viral TikTok videos, as well as the biggest TikTok technology myths, the importance of good audio and lighting, and the 3 must-have pieces of tech for recording TikTok videos. We also talk about where most creators get overwhelmed, why less polished content often performs better, and whether it's really important or not for your TikTok feed to look curated. Plus, we're going to be sharing some of our favorite editing software recommendations. So join me as we navigate the world of TikTok tech together. Let's get into it. Melissa, thank you for joining me on this second episode of our 4-part series. I am so excited to dive into our topic today. We are talking all about TikTok tech. So what we need when it comes to technology and all of the myths surrounding it. So maybe let's start at the beginning. What are some of the most common myths that you see when it comes to TikTok technology?
Yeah. So a lot of people obviously are wondering, because it's video and because we're coming out of a time when, everything was overly polished and curated. It's like, oh, I'm going to need this and I'm going to need that. And for podcasters, I know you guys have a lot of equipment that you use with your podcast. The beautiful thing about TikTok, okay, is that you don't need any tech really other than your phone to get started. Because TikTok, the videos actually perform better in vertical format. You really do just need your phone. And then the only thing that I would say would be making sure that the quality of the sound is decent. Now, sometimes you might see people with like their headphones talking into like this.
Yeah, like the
right?
up close when you're like taking the cord and you're like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's just because it does help the sound quality. I have noticed. I don't know if I said this on our last episode, but I grew my account by posting TikToks in my car on my lunch break. And so all my videos were in my car, literally. And I think that part of that helped me be successful because the quality of the sound in my car was really good, right? Like if you're in your car, it's like the sound quality in there is great. Here, like in this room, it's a little echoey, right? So like when I record my TikToks, I notice that they don't do as well if I'm in like an echoey kind of space. So sometimes I will use my headphones or just you guys understand the sound quality. You're obviously podcasters, but that is one thing that I would just keep in mind when you're doing your videos is just make sure you're not in like too echoey of a space.
I actually love that you said this so much because there's a question that comes up a lot in podcasting and when we're creating a new podcast, for example, and getting all the stuff set up. People will always ask, does the sound quality actually matter? Is it actually important to have good sound? And I believe, yes. Like, do I think you need to go and spend $500 on a microphone? No, you can if you want to, but you don't have to. But it's so important to have clear sound and for people to actually be able to hear what you're saying, that it's not scratchy. Sometimes if you're wearing headphones and maybe the microphone is like hitting your shirt or something like that and you just hear that scratchiness, like that is so hard for a listener to hear. And so if you're scrolling through your TikTok timeline and if you're listening to a podcast, they kind of are all in the same to me in my mind right now. If the sound isn't good, you're like, next. You know what I mean? You don't have to stay. The hook can be amazing. The content can be epic. But if the sound isn't good, people are just like, oh my God. And especially, I don't know if you've seen these ones. I'm sure you have on TikTok, but I can't stand ASMR. Like that noise, I honestly cannot stand it. And so it's like ASMR to me when the sound isn't clear. It drives
Yeah.
me bonkers.
Yeah, I think it really does make a difference. Even, and like, this is another thing that I'll say, like lighting, right?
Mm,
It's like, oh, do I need to go out and buy a ring light, this or that? But again, I like looked back and thought, man, how did I do so well in my car? And the lighting is always good in your car. Have
mm.
you noticed that? Like,
Yes.
you have natural light, you're around windows. So like
Yes.
even like me right now, I'm in front of a big window. So when you're recording, I would say like you don't need a ring light or if people even use those, but like
I
a
do.
bunch of lighting equipment. Yeah. But you don't really need a bunch of lighting equipment. But what I would say is like make sure that your videos, like your face looks clear. Like if you
Mm,
can record them in front of a window, that would be really important. So I'm really big on making sure that like your sound quality is good and that like you are visible, right?
I love
So
that.
that's important.
I love that. And so if you were to leave our listeners with, three main pieces of tech, like three must use or must have items when it comes to creating content for TikTok, what would those three things be?
Yeah. Again, like we talked about, just making sure either you're in a space where the sound is really good, so that that can come through, or you do use like a little microphone or something, making sure that you do have that good natural light.
Mm,
And then your phone. I always record my videos within the app. And
okay.
it's much easier, I think. And the reason why, okay, when people go to say stuff on camera, this is how I started. I was recording it on my camera phone. You know what I'm talking about? Just like your regular camera on your phone.
Yes.
And I would record and then like I'd get, 30 seconds in and then I'd stumble over my words. And I'd be like, oh, now I have to go back and record. It was like hours, literally, when I was like, crap, I had this video go viral. Now I got to figure out TikTok. I was spending so much time trying to figure out the app. And then I realized TikTok has this amazing button, right? If you guys don't know, download TikTok right now, open your camera, open it up to TikTok. You're going to see a little red button to record. You can hit start and then stop. And so
Mm,
when you record, you can say one sentence, right? And then stop recording. And then pick it up. You can even change like angles or whatever, and then say the next thing. So you don't need to take it all in one take. So anyway, there's a lot to say about that. But what I'm just saying is I record a lot of my videos within the app because it's easier.
mm,
For podcasters, I do know people use Adobe Premiere, right? To like edit their videos. I think that TikTok prefers that the videos are edited within the app, but I
mm.
don't think that it necessarily like hinders your video performance if your content is good.
That's such an interesting point, too. And I know a lot of podcasters who create for TikTok. And I mean, of course, if you have all of this equipment and you've spent thousands of dollars on good equipment, good microphones, good cameras, good lighting, like all of that, like, of course, you're going to want to use it, right? That takes so much effort. And so
Yeah.
even for myself, sometimes, like, I like to create shorter videos. I like to like riff off of other people's sounds and add my own spin. Like I actually enjoy doing all of that. Where I
Mhm.
get overwhelmed with the TikTok tech, if you will, is how intricate other people's videos are and how thoughtful they can be and how much effort is put into them, if that makes any sense. And
Yeah.
I just get so overwhelmed because I'm like, I don't have the time to sit here on top of all of the other things that I do in a week. I don't have the time to sit here and edit all of these short clips and make them into TikToks and put them into, you know, editing software and like do all of that. Like if I'm going to record a TikTok, it's going to be off my phone. It's going to be fast. It's going to be, I probably have like three bullet points. I'll probably have like three bullet points written out, you know, a specific topic that I want to talk about and just record it. Maybe I'll do different angles, maybe I'll do different like whatever, but it like I look at all these other amazing reels and amazing TikToks and I'm like, "Oh my gosh." And even in studio video content, right? Like, people who create new podcasts and have actual TV sets and like they're actually on a set, that can feel like, of course, that's going to be elevated. Like, of course people are going to gravitate towards watching that. But like, do you think you really need all of those things? Like, I'm just thinking, I just saw a creator that I follow launch a new show, and it's all in person, and the lighting is moody, and like the content is good, but I think the rest of it really adds to this like crazy experience for the viewer. Do you think that podcasters need to go that far when it comes to tech, or do you think that it's still enough to just do your point of view camera pointing at you? Like, is that enough?
Yes. Oh my
Okay.
word. I think actually this is like an interesting line that I think people need to understand, because I've noticed that sometimes people want to stay so on brand
Mm.
or stay very, that's the only thing I can say is stay on brand, that it actually hinders the video. So hear what I'm saying? It's like if the video looks too professional or too polished, people might just scroll past because they feel like they really do like the person that's like,
Behind the message?
yeah,
Yeah,
yes, they
that's true.
really, it's true. So like, you obviously want to be able to not come across sloppy or anything like that. I understand, like, we want to have a level of excellence in our content, but I think that like for TikTok, the whole like vibe of it is that it's in the moment, that it's genuine, that it's authentic. And so if you're recording and you're always having like your logo in the background and your logo on your shirt, and I feel like it feels a little bit salesy.
Yeah.
So maybe like I would recommend even like changing it up, or like
Mm.
looking a little bit more like your everyday rather than like perfect polished on camera. Does that make sense?
Yes, that makes so much sense. I love so much what you're saying because it's so true. You don't need to have, and especially if you constantly have the same backdrop and,
Yes.
everything always looks the same, the lighting always looks the same. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. But also, if you're creating, like, let's say, some people do 2 or 3 TikToks a day. Like, if every single TikTok looks the exact same and every single reel looks the exact same, people aren't going to know that it's different content. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? People are going to be like, okay, I feel like I've seen this before. I when it comes to creating content for podcasts specifically, I like to create 2 clips per episode and promote those at minimum. If you want to do
Mhm.
more, you can do more. But I think 2 is important because people are not always paying attention at the same time. That said, you have to balance that out with other things, and I think
Yeah.
sometimes when it all looks the same, your feed looks the same, how important is that even in terms of, like, let's talk about, like, it's not really like a technology, but like the actual feed, the way your feed looks. Do you
Yeah.
think that matters? Because like long gone are the days of curated feeds, I think. But
Yeah. I think that it really does depend on like the level of professionalism, or like if that's important to you,
right.
right? So like on your Instagram, if that's where you're sharing, like not just on TikTok, but let's say you're on Instagram repurposing your videos there, having like that cover photo,
Yes.
right? Like that's, I think Instagram, it still seems to be important on that platform because of what that platform is.
Mm.
On TikTok, having just like there's a cover photo, sorry, there's a thumbnail. You can just title the video with the app text. And so having that so that people can actually click on your videos and know what they're about, I think is good.
I absolutely love that. So now, our next video, like our next episode that we're going to do together, is all about the content creation piece, the repurposing content. I know that is exactly what people want to dive into and learn about. Before we head into that conversation, I just want to ask 2 more things. The first thing is, do you think that we've missed anything as it comes to tech? But then the second thing is, what would you say right now to a podcaster who's listening that wants to create on TikTok, does not even know where to begin, and feels overwhelmed at all of the ways to create?
Yes. Okay. I would say a lot of people with podcasts are like, I actually have a client right now who has a podcast, and she's like, oh, I've got to like go and like cut up my podcasts and turn them into TikToks. And they feel overwhelmed
Yeah.
because they're already doing editing. It's already a lot of work having a podcast. And then it's like, now I got to chop these up. And how do I do it? Because there's a lot more to taking a clip from your podcast and posting it than
Yes.
people realize, because there
Yes.
has to be that hook. You have to know how that content is delivered that's going to perform well. So honestly, I would truly say for somebody that's like has a podcast but wants to create on TikTok, I would say it's much easier for you to start by just opening the camera and start recording.
I love that.
Like, just start creating content as you're in the process of figuring out how do I chop up my clips. Now, this I say that on one end because this is also dependent on the person and what they're good at. So if you are someone that's like, I can just like open the camera, I just need to start, and like the thought of editing is overwhelming to me, then that's what I would say to that person. However, on the other end, if you're someone that actually enjoys the editing and you are good with that, then I would say just start chopping your clips up and posting them. Like,
Yeah.
you have to start messy. So you need to just like figure it out, and you need to just like have a go, because you will not know what performs well, what your audience likes, until you just like put it up. So just put it up.
I love that. I love that
Mhm.
so much. Okay, this was amazing. As a final thought, I actually have a question for you really quick. If you could recommend like a software for our listeners to use, something easy, something simple, ways to, like, a way to create TikToks if they don't want to do it in the app, and that they can splice up videos and all that kind of stuff, what would you recommend?
Yeah, a lot of people use CapCut,
Okay.
and one thing that CapCut has that people do like is a teleprompter.
Mm,
So you can actually like script out your videos, and then like if you want to do that. So people do like CapCut. That's another app. If you want to just like be using your phone and keep it minimal, I would say that that could be a viable option.
amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on this episode.
It's been fun.
What an amazing episode this was. Melissa is such a wealth of knowledge when it comes to the world of TikTok, and I know that you learned so much from her. I learn so much from her every single time we chat, and I am so grateful that she shared her expertise with all of us listening today on my podcast. Remember to connect with Melissa using the links in the show notes. You can find her on TikTok and on Instagram. And there are also links to her resources, her free resources, and her online course. If you have any questions about what we covered today, please contact either of us on social media or by email. Thank you so much for listening to this episode. If you loved it, you know how much I would appreciate a rating or a review of the show. And I can't wait to see you on the next episode.